All right, let's dive into something I think every single one of us has struggled with. You know the feeling? You spend hours, maybe even days studying for a big test. You feel pretty good about it. But then you sit down, look at the paper, and your mind just goes blank. It's gone. Well, today, we're going to break down the science of why we forget, and more importantly, show you a powerful system to make sure what you study actually sticks.
So yeah, let's start right there with that huge question. Why does this happen? You're staring at a question and you know the answer. You can almost feel it, but it just won't surface. It's so incredibly frustrating. But believe it or not, there's some real science behind it, and it's not just you.
Okay, so let's get into it. The very first thing you need to realize is that forgetting isn't some kind of personal failure. It's not that you're bad at memorizing. It's actually a predictable, well-documented process. In fact, science has a bunch of different theories that explain why that vital information seems to just vanish from our brains when we need it most.
First on the list is something called decay theory. The easiest way to think about this is use it or lose it. Seriously, if that memory trace, that initial spark of information, isn't very strong, or if you don't go back and revisit it, it just fades away. It's like a path in the woods. If nobody walks on it, it gets overgrown and eventually disappears. Same idea.
Then there's displacement theory. Okay, picture your working memory like a small, really crowded shelf. What happens when you try to cram a ton of new stuff onto it all at once? You know, like during those late-night caffeine-fueled cram sessions? Well, to make room, some of the older stuff just gets shoved right off the edge. Next up is interference theory. This is basically when your memories get their wires crossed. It can happen in two ways. First, there's proactive interference. That's when your old information makes it hard to learn new things. Then there's retroactive, which is the exact opposite, when new information you just learned makes it way harder to remember the old stuff. It's a two-way street.
Oh man, this one is a huge deal in our modern world. Incomplete encoding. Think about it. If you're trying to study while you're also checking your phone, half watching a TV show, or listening to a podcast, your focus is split. The information never gets fully processed and stored correctly in the first place. It's like trying to save a corrupted computer file. It's just not going to work right.
You know that tip of the tongue feeling, where you're so close to remembering a word or a name? That's retrieval failure theory in action. The crazy part is, the information is in your long-term memory. It's there. But for whatever reason, the pathway to find it is just temporarily blocked. You know it's in the library, you just can't find the right bookshelf.
And finally, we have emotional blocks. This is classic test anxiety. You can know the material backwards and forwards, but the moment you're in that high-pressure test situation, the stress and anxiety can throw up a massive wall, completely blocking your ability to retrieve that info. Your own emotions are literally getting in the way of your memory.
So that's the whole rogues gallery of why we forget. It's a lot, right? But here's the good news. We can absolutely fight back. So let's pivot now from the problem to the solution. Let's talk about the active process of remembering and how we can take these fleeting facts and turn them into permanent knowledge.
The absolute key to all of this comes down to one simple equation. Rehearsal equals practice. That's it. It's the act of repeatedly engaging with the information that physically moves it from your temporary short-term memory into your permanent long-term memory. And look, this isn't a one-and-done deal. It needs ongoing review and some smart strategies like chunking, which is just breaking down big lists into smaller, more meaningful groups.
Here's another fun little quirk about how our memory works. It's called the primacy-recency effect. Basically, we are naturally wired to remember the first things we study in a session, that's primacy, and the last things we study, that's recency. And you can totally use this to your advantage. Just make sure you sandwich the most important info at the very beginning and very end of your study sessions.
Okay, now we're getting to the real heart of it. This isn't about some single magic trick. It's about having a complete toolkit at your disposal. There are 12, count them, 12 research-backed principles that can totally change the game when it comes to how you learn and remember things. And here's the best part, the really good news. Remembering isn't some special talent that you're either born with or you're not. Not at all. It is 100% a skill, and just like any other skill, you can build it, you can practice it, and you can get better at it. These 12 principles, they're your roadmap.
Now you might be thinking, okay, great. How am I supposed to remember 12 different principles? That sounds like more studying. Well, you don't have to, because there's this brilliant little trick, a mnemonic device, that bundles them all together into one super easy to remember phrase. And here it is, the secret weapon.
Save crib photo. I know, it sounds a little weird, right? But trust me, this one phrase is the key. It's an acronym that stands for all 12 of those powerful principles, making them super easy to recall whenever you need them. So if you remember anything, remember this phrase.
Let's break this down so you can see how it works. We'll start with the first chunk of letters. Let's talk about SAVE.
Okay, so S is for selectivity. You can't learn everything, so be selective and decide what's actually important. A is for association. This is huge. Link new ideas to stuff you already know. V is for visualization. Don't just read the words, create a mental picture of the concept. And E is for elaboration. This means putting it in your own words or thinking up new examples. Make it your own.
Got it? Simple enough, right? Awesome. Let's move right along to the next piece of our memory puzzle, CRIB.
C stands for concentration. This one's obvious but crucial. Put the phone away, turn off the TV, and just focus. R is for recitation. Say it out loud. Hearing yourself say the information really helps lock it in. I is for intention. Go into your study session with a clear goal. What do you want to learn right now? And B is for big and little pictures. This means understanding both the main overarching concept and all the little details that support it.
And that brings us to the home stretch, the final piece of this amazing mnemonic. The last 4 principles are all wrapped up under FOTO. So F is for feedback. You got to check your work, quiz yourself, see what you actually know versus what you think you know. O is for organization. Don't just read the notes as they are. Rearrange them. Make charts, outlines, mind maps, whatever makes sense to you. T is for time on task. Look, there's just no substitute for putting in the hours. And that final critical O is for ongoing review. You have to keep practicing and pulling that information out of your brain over time.
So there you have it. Save, crib, photo. 12 incredibly powerful principles that can seriously transform your memory. But, like any tool, it's not just about having it. It's about knowing how to use it right. Now, while mnemonics like save, crib, photo are absolutely fantastic, they're like a bridge for your memory and they make studying active, it's good to know the trade-offs. Yeah, they can take a little time to create, and there's a small risk of just memorizing the trick itself without really understanding the concepts behind it. So the key is to use them as a tool to help you learn deeply, not as a replacement for it. And that pretty much brings us to the end. We've looked at all the reasons we forget, and we've unpacked this amazing toolkit to help you remember. So really, there's only one question left, and this one's for you. Looking at all 12 of these principles, which one are you going to put into practice first?